What's up, everybody? We're going to talk about the big win versus Georgia. If you can tell, if you can't tell, my voice is completely gone. I was screaming this entire game as if I was at the game. Oh my gosh, we're going to talk about it. We're going to get into it, but please, before we do, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the notification bell. That way you know every single time I upload a video. Look, we did it. We did it. The first thing, I got to tell you, the first thing, we'll get into the game, but the first thing that came into my mind after triple zeros was after every single one of those disappointing losses in years past. Just think about 2005 USC. Think about last year, Ohio State, and a plethora of other ones. All of these big games against teams of consequence, all the close games, all the beatdowns that we have endured over the years. And we finally, after several unfortunate decades, were able to put everything together and beat a team of consequence, beat a coach of consequence in Kirby Smart. Were able to put it all together and finally come out with a Vic. It's a long time coming, and there's more work to do. I want to beat Penn State. I want to beat most likely Ohio State, who are going to play in the national championship, but we still got some work to do. But for now, let's enjoy this win. Let's talk about it for just a second. Before the game, I said that Riley Leonard needed to step up and make some plays at least, and he did that. He had 154 yards passing, no interceptions, 1 touchdown. He had 80 yards rushing and a crucial conversion on a 4th down to extend a drive to kill more clock. And by that time, it was ball game. There's no way Gunnar Stockton was going to drive down and score 2 touchdowns and win that football game. No way at that point. After that play, you got to hand it to our defensive line, who just they keep making plays no matter who is playing. They're making plays. RJ Oben is a freaking phantom the entire season. All of a sudden, he comes with a huge strip sack that leads to that touchdown. Junior Tuihalamaka comes up with a couple of huge sacks, plus a couple tackles for loss. Was all over the place against a massive, athletic, talented, highly starred, recruited offensive line in Georgia. And then you had, you had guys all over the place. You just had guys all over the place. I'm reeling right now because this is such a big win for this program. It finally puts us on the map to recruits and to other fans. We belong in the same field, on the same field with these other teams, specifically the SEC. We just beat the SEC champion in a playoff game. When was the last time Notre Dame could have that kind of clout on the recruiting trail? You're going to start seeing those signatures. You're going to start seeing it. It's going to start coming. It's a massive flood. So let's keep talking about some of the bigger games. Our offensive line, they struggled. They had a hard time with a much more athletic, much more superior defensive line, but they held their own. They did what they needed to do. They did their job. They just like when we played Texas A&M. They just did what they needed to do. Just do their jobs. They weren't trying to out-athlete anybody. They weren't trying to outforce anybody. They just did what they needed to do. Anthony Knapp kind of had a rough game, but that's a digression at this point in time. He didn't give up any sacks, or maybe one, I think. At least there was only one significant sack that I can recall on Riley Leonard. That and I can't remember if he's the one that actually gave that up. I'd have to go back and look at the tape, but they did what they needed to do. They held onto the ball. No fumbles, no interceptions. All of the things that I said that needed to happen before the game. All of it. They did. For the exception of perhaps Riley Leonard having a big passing day. But it turns out he didn't need it. One of the reasons why I thought Riley Leonard was going to need a big passing day is because of our defensive line and how depleted that it's been, and how bad the lack of pass rush that I thought we were going to have. And Gunnar Stockton was just going to pass all over us. Now, he did have he had a pretty decent game. I think he had 230 yards and 1 touchdown. So it's not like he was completely ineffective, but you could just tell he was completely out of his depth. I mean, it was hike, 1, 2, 3, pass, and if it wasn't that, he was going to get hit. He's going to get sacked. All night long. It was relentless pursuit of the quarterback all night long. The linebackers, oh my gosh, held Georgia to 50 rushing yards. I mean, they were smash-mouthing Etienne and these other wide receivers and running backs. I mean, they just played tough. They played with their hair on fire. They're flying all over the football field. It was exactly what they needed to do to win the game. Exactly what they needed to do. Most importantly, they came away with a couple of turnovers too. And how could you not? Like everyone talks about, moments of a game when you thought this team was going to win. I don't want to say the moment that I thought we were going to win was the kickoff return, because there's still a lot of football to play left. But that was the moment when I'm like, okay, all right, this is it. This is go time. How could you not like that play, man? I mean, that was monstrous. Taking it to the house, 98 yards for a touchdown. And I know you're going to hear all the Georgia fans, well, we didn't have our starting quarterback and blah, 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 and you guys got lucky with a return for a touchdown. I don't want to hear any of it. I don't want to hear a single thing. I'll drink your tears, but I don't want to hear any trash talking, because there is no team in this playoff with more injuries than Notre Dame. Not one. We have the most by far, and it's not even close. No excuses. Next man up. Junior Tui Alamaka. We need to sack from you, bro. Got you, coach. RJ Oben, you haven't done crap all year. I need you to sack fumble. Yeah, we got this. I'll do it. Boom. Gets it. I mean, the team stepped up. They supported each other. You can tell this team loves one another. They want to play for one another. There's no one saying, there's no I guys. There's no Randy Mosses. There's no Shadur Sanders. All those guys they're the ones that it's all about them. No, this is a complete team. Like I said before the game, the most complete team and the better team is and was Notre Dame. So I was always confident that we were going to be able to stay in this game. Now anything can happen at any point in time in these games. Look at Oregon and Ohio State yesterday. I don't think the last thing I think Oregon fans thought was that they're going to go in there and get absolutely housed and be down 31-0 at one point in time. I don't think they thought that was going to happen. And by the way, Ohio State is probably your national title favorite. But anything can happen. Anything can happen. I think Ohio State's a better team than Oregon. Obviously, they proved it on the field. Do I think they're that much better than Oregon? No. I think Oregon got caught with their pants down. I think they're one of the teams, all four of the teams that got a playoff bye. Oh man, I can't wait to talk about this. All four of the teams in this playoff that had a bye lost. All four of them. Why am I making such a big deal out of that? Because everyone at the beginning of the season kept telling me over and over and over and over and over and over again how many times that Notre Dame was not in a conference and they couldn't play a conference championship game, which means they couldn't have a first-round bye, and that was going to be really hard for them. How do you like them apples? Oh, it's so delicious to talk about this because it renders that point moot. It renders that point on recruiting trails moot. It no longer holds any sway at all. The only thing it gives you is somewhat of an advantage if you're a banged up team like Notre Dame. But you can see now there is some kind of a jet lag. You can see that some of these teams come out and they're not playing as well. You can see with Oregon. I mean, that first half was atrocious. You looked like they'd never played with one another before. They needed that continued play in order to stay consistent, and it bit them in the butt. It's gone. It is a pointless fact now. It's something that if you are a Notre Dame fan, listen to me. If you're a Notre Dame fan and you get consistently talked to about how Notre Dame's not in the conference and that hurts them in the college football playoff, make sure you remind that person, whoever stupid person that is that doesn't follow college football and they just like talking trash, remind that person that all four conference champions that have the bye lost in this first play. I mean, not one of them won. Not one of them won. It's just amazing. Perhaps it would have been a little different if two of those teams were in Arizona State and Boise State, but that's the system that we play in. That's the system that we are subject to right now. It just is, unfortunate. There's going to be tweaks over this offseason, guaranteed. Next year, it might look totally different. They might not do buys. I think in a couple of years they might get rid of the conference championship game altogether, and everyone gets an equal starting time, or an equal amount of time off. You know what? Another thing too, because of the terrorist attack. And by the way, in my pregame podcast, I failed to mention, and this is totally on me, but my thoughts, my prayers for specifically, I pray to Jesus, go out to all the families affected from that horrible terrorist attack that happened in New Orleans. I hope every single person that's in the hospital makes a full and total recovery. And I pray for absolute mercy and peace and joy, and most importantly, justice for all the families who had lives taken in that terrible attack. So, forgive me for not putting that in my pregame. I should have, and I forgot. But with all the things surrounding that horrible event, we had to postpone this for a day. If you remember, Penn State played the night before, so they got 2 extra days of rest, where we're only going to get a week. They're going to get 2 extra days. There's things like that the CFP is going to have to iron out and talk about. I think I heard Tim O'Malley for Irish Illustrated talking about maybe the possibility of them putting that game back a day or two, just so Notre Dame can have somewhat of an equal amount of time to recover from this very, very physical game. I'm pointing this direction because that's my TV and that's where I watch the games. But I don't know. Maybe they'll do that. Maybe they won't. I doubt it, just because TV schedules and contracts and all that stuff it's just so squirrely, and they're gonna have to bring in all kinds of stuff to. All kinds of lawyers and stuff to talk about. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it matters. I mean, if you're going by what's been happening over this playoff and all these teams, the more time you have off, the more it hurts you. So maybe that is actually an advantage for us, that we play in just a week and not have that much recovery. But anyway, I just wanted to get this podcast out here to kind of talk about this a little bit. It was just gonna be really quick. Marcus Freeman, you're the man. I love you. You coached aggressive tonight. You were not going to take the coward's way out. You were not going to do what coaches in years past, go up against the SEC champ and crap their pants, and then they crap the bed on the field. You weren't going to do that tonight. No, you were going to go toe to toe with a team who wanted to beat you and put you in the ground. And all the Georgia fans talking crap about how Notre Dame sucks. I'm going to drink them. I'm drinking them. I'm going to get drunk on Georgia tears tonight. So, Marcus Freeman, I'm so proud of you for instilling, completely reversing that attitude and that mindset in the Notre Dame football program. You have reversed it now. It's reversed. It used to be very timid, very shy. We'll try to out-scheme you. We know we're not as athletic or as big as you. So we're going to try to out-scheme you, and we'll just give you your due. We're going to take it. We're going to take it. What you think you're known for, power football, we're going to be powerful. And we're going to tackle you in the ground. And he played that way all night long. Went forward on 4th down a couple of times, and I loved every call. Every single call. I was fine with it. Not one single time was I like, no, don't do that. Every single time he went for it, I was totally fine with it. So keep it up. Keep it up. 2 more to go. 2 down, 2 more to go. Go Irish. We beat the Georgia Bulldogs in the Sugar Bowl. Before I go, let me just say that one more thing. That monkey is off Notre Dame's back. Not winning a major bowl against a team of consequence. I know we won our bowl game against Indiana last week, but that's not the same thing as beating Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. It's just not. We haven't done that in 30 years. A very, very long time. Gone. Enjoy it, Irish fans. I love you. Go Irish. Now I'm done.